What's up, my Republic of Heroes, Heart Hero 456, Exo65 here, bringing you my first ever video game review. And today I thought I would review a video game that I'm sure a lot of people see as both controversial, but also kind of uplifting. Sonic Frontiers. Now when it comes down to it, Sonic Frontiers is a video game that it was a bit of a culture shock to some. See, the game kind of sort of is in that midway point where it's starting to redeem Sonic again, but it also falls into the situation that we end up getting into the good old-fashioned Sega Sonic cycle. I've already explained what the Sega Sonic cycle really is in my previous YouTube videos, so I'm gonna keep it brief here. Basically, what the cycle is that we end up getting a really good Sonic game, then we get a few sequels of that Sonic game's gameplay style. Then Sega either makes a really terrible game and kinda fucks up the style, so they instead try to do something completely new. Sometimes the new thing's good, sometimes the new thing sucks, but let's just say, if it works, we get a sequel or a few more games in that style, only for Sega to try to do something new again, and let's just say it ends up leading to every other style that they've done before getting completely thrown out because it either failed or because Sega is just hell-bent on trying to do something new. Now, there's a little bit more in-depth stuff with it, but let's just say that's kind of my summary of what the Sonic cycle is. There are plenty of videos out there that do a better explanation than what I just gave, and I've also given an explanation on it in one of my past videos. But when it comes to Sonic Frontiers, I feel like this is a video game that has a lot of potential to inspire Sega to do more ballsy things, and also give Sonic more of the things that we genuinely love from the franchise in the first place. But overall, I think I should probably just go ahead and say that Sonic Frontiers was a game that I was kinda looking forward to, but also kinda really nervous about, because I didn't necessarily think that this game was gonna be good, and a huge part of me felt like this game was going to, unfortunately, disappoint me more than inspire me. But after trying to do a live stream of the game, and also eventually just deciding to live stream the game because Let's Plays didn't really get me anywhere, I just want to go ahead and say that I have built some opinions of Sonic Frontiers. Some opinions that took me a while to really flesh out and think about, but opinions nonetheless. So, let's get into my review for Sonic Frontiers. Cue the old-timey... wait, old-timey? That doesn't sound right. Cue the early 2000s video game style intro. Don't you wanna feel whole? Don't you wanna feel... Okay, so first on the chopping block is the gameplay. And this is definitely going to be the longest part of the video because, well, the gameplay of Sonic Frontiers is actually pretty damn extensive. There is surprisingly a mix of a lot to do and not that much to do at all when it comes to this game. Probably because while the game definitely has a lot of conceptually cool shit, they don't really capitalize on it that much. So you're kind of stuck not having that much to do overall. Which, of course, leads us into none other than, well, the actual gameplay. So, the gameplay of Sonic Frontiers sort of works like this. You've got these big open maps to explore, and in these big open maps, if you want to progress throughout the games, you have to fight enemies to level up your skill tree, you have to do cool platforming challenges in order to collect these tokens to progress the actual character stories, and, of course, you have to collect the 7 Chaos Emeralds. But in order to get the 7 Chaos Emeralds, you need to collect them by unlocking these badass memory vaults. Wait, are they called memory vaults or chaos vaults? I think they're called chaos vaults. These cool chaos vaults, and in order to do that, you need to go into the special stages of the game, aka the cyberspace stages, which just straight up take the boosting gameplay of previous Sonic games and decides to relegate them to their own small section as special stages. Which I honestly think is really intelligent and smart. I love this concept, and I think it works really well because the boost gameplay is still very popular, and many Sonic fans really like it. So why not give us the best form of Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay in a video game that's clearly trying to do something new? While also recycling an old element. It's awesome. Like, it's really, really fucking great. I love it. I love it. Or at least I love the concept. And of course, in order to get into the cyberspace stages, you have to face off against mini-bosses that are spread and scattered across the entirety, and I do mean the entirety, of this map. At least, they're kind of spread out across the entirety of the map. They're really just relegated to the exact same locations, and you just have to go there over and over and over again to fight the same mini-boss, but again, we'll get more into that a little bit later. And after you beat the mini-boss, you get these cool little portal gears. Put the portal gears in the cyberspace stages, play through the cyberspace stages, complete specific objectives, and, you know, you get some keys, then you unlock the Chaos Emeralds, and you fight an incredibly badass Supersonic boss, which is actually my favorite part of the game. The fact that Supersonic isn't just a final boss thing, it is literally a straightforward, badass, every single big boss in this game is Supersonic. Really leaning into that whole shonen isekai anime things that the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise has had for, honestly, years at this point. And with that type of gameplay loop, you honestly think everything would be perfect. Well, it's not perfect. But it's still pretty damn good. The first thing I really want to talk about and just sort of knock out of the way, because it's the part that I have both the main mixed feelings on here, is definitely the fact that the cyberspace stages in this game are not the best executed. See, the cyberspace stages are not original stages in any way, shape, and form. They basically have the themes of Green Hill, you got your fucking themes of Sky Sanctuary, your themes of Chemical Plant and a few of them, and last but sure as shit not least, Radical Highway from Sonic Adventure 2. And, well, not only that, but they just straight up steal the level design of past Sonic games because, hell, Sega couldn't be fucked to make original levels or hire a few more developers. Now, yeah, I get that there's supposed to be a story reason behind it, but the story doesn't actually justify this decision. It really doesn't, and I'll get to that when I talk about the story. But I actually do like a good chunk of these levels. Like, I like a good chunk of them. And the reason why I say this is simply because some of the cyberspace stages, while yes, are built with past Sonic the Hedgehog level design in mind, aren't built to adapt these level design to the boosting gameplay. A lot of these stages have gameplay from either the classic games or from Sonic Adventure style games, and let's just say, those don't work that well with the boost gameplay. When you play a Sonic Adventure mod in Sonic Generations, or when you play something like Sonic World, which actually adapts these stages and levels to fit the gameplay that they're using, it clearly feels a lot better because they've adapted the gameplay and adapted the level design to fit the boost gameplay. Sega just copy and pasted the levels from Sonic Adventure 2 in the classic games, and Adventure 1 maybe, and just put them in there. Now, some of these Sonic Adventure stages are not that big of a deal and actually work out really well, but a lot of them just do not feel that fluid, do not feel that fun, and are genuinely just annoying trying to complete any of the objectives in them because, well, they're not built for boost style gameplay. And the ones that are built from boost style gameplay, I don't really know if I can compliment them because then I would just be complimenting the original games that they came from. And yeah, I know the boost is basically changed up for Sonic Frontiers. I know you're not pressing one button to boost, you're holding a trigger, and the boost is way more limited in this game than it is in those, but the same complaint really still stands. The cyberspace stages are fun, don't get me wrong, I do like them conceptually, but execution-wise, they're just a little disappointing, no? I say yes. So, with all of that being said, let's get on to the other parts of the gameplay. The parts of the gameplay I genuinely really fucking like. Oh my god, the open zones. Where do I begin? Well, for starters, I will admit that I like how the first 3 open zones are actually built. I genuinely think Kronos and Chaos and Ares have genuinely well-built open zones. I actually like how The Chronos basically introduces you to how the open zone layout is, how you have all these really cool places to explore, and how it gives you multiple different hills and slopes to jump up with. I also genuinely think that the platforming challenges in Chronos are also pretty damn fun as well. They're very simple and straight to the point, and they also feel genuinely like they're introducing you to Sonic gameplay, while obviously if you know how to play Sonic games or you've played Sonic games before, these platforming challenges will feel like, well, putting on a very familiar glove. Honestly, your hand just slides right into it. Ares amps up the platforming challenges by making them a lot harder, but also makes the platforming challenges more important to the overall world, because, for the most part, you kinda just have to use the platforming challenges if you want to get to different sections of Ares. I love Ares the most out of this simply because it pissed me off the most. Like, I was genuinely frustrated trying to figure out how to get to a different level because Ares splits its different parts of the levels, well, different parts of its level, into different sections of height. And in order to get higher, you gotta use the platforming challenges and play around with the physics in order to get there. Like, seriously, I was frustrated when I played this on my live stream, but I actually really enjoyed trying to get all the way up to all these different fun sections. And don't even get me started on Chaos. This was okay. I'll admit the open zone was built pretty damn well, and I'll admit I like the concept of you being next to a big old volcano. I think that was pretty damn cool. But the biggest issue I really had with it definitely has to be the platforming challenges of this. There is just so much damn 2D in this goddamn section. It makes no sense. This would be the perfect island for 3D sections. Hell, if I could flip the camera to go behind Sonic, I think these platforming sections would be a lot more fun. But it's mostly just 2D platforming, and it's not even that good 2D platforming either. Clearly they're more difficult, but they're not difficult in the sense that you're actually using, you know, the skills that you gained from the past platforming sections in order to pull this shit off. It's just a new form of platforming that you've probably done before, but isn't even the main focus for the most part. And of course, the most annoying part of this game, which is only really annoying to me because it's very mind-numbing and boring, definitely has to be completing the fucking maps. I honestly hate completing the maps. The reason why is because they're just a bunch of boring-ass mini-games that are so simple a toddler can pull them off. Honestly, if I could change one thing about the maps, I would make it to where the more platforming challenges you complete, the more the map wakes up. I'd make it so that the memory tokens are connected to the map somehow. You know, just, you know, the more memory tokens you get, the bigger the map gets filled or some shit like that. Speaking of tokens and collectibles, I should probably let you know that the way you level up in this game is actually done pretty damn differently, and usually comes down to the combat. Now, of course, it also requires some exploration, as you have to collect these adorable little, you know, rock golem creatures that are also somehow squishy, called the Coco. I love these little babies. These little babies are fucking adorable, and I will murder you if I figure out that you've hurt them. But basically, yeah, you have to collect the Coco, and when you complete the map, you end up getting these cool little seeds. A seed of power and a seed of defense. Now, the seeds are the best way to level up because they upgrade your strength and defense. And of course, you do that by going to good old-fashioned Kermit the Hermit. He is the Hermit Coco that will take the seeds of power and defense and will give you more power and defense. And he does it basically instantaneously. It's that simple. But then you get to old Emerald the Elder, and I do not fucking like this guy because he takes forever to level you up, and I just really don't like it. Like, in order to level up, you basically have to individually choose the specific thing you want leveled up, and he levels you up by 1 level each time. No, there is not an option to choose how much you want to level up. You just level up 1 each time, and it takes forever. In fact, I think Charai5 said it best when he ended up explaining that in order to level up to maximum on one of these damn stats, it will take you 20 minutes with Emerald over here. Oh, and by the way, the names that I'm calling them, yeah, I made those up. I called them that on my live stream, so I'm just going to be using them from now on. because, you know, I like those names. And of course, when it comes down to it, let's get to that combat, shall we? In order to level up your combat, you need to gain experience, and the only way to gain experience is by beating the shit out of random little enemies. Enemies? Embassies. You have to beat the shit out of the embassies. There we go. In order to beat the enemies that are very... Yeah, okay, the enemies are incredibly fucking easy in this game, and the combat is almost pointless when it comes to fighting them. Like, seriously, they are just mindless, and they're just drones. Now, yes, in my live stream, I did die to them. But that's because I wasn't really thinking. And I also beat them without really thinking. Yeah, the combat in this game is a little disappointing to me because the enemies are very easy to beat, especially if you just level up occasionally. On Chronos, the enemies are really super easy to take down. You just have to homing attack them a little bit, and boom, they're gone just like that. And sure, you got the mini-bosses, but... Oh shit, you got the mini-bosses! Although you don't really get any experience from the mini-bosses, they are actually the best parts when it comes to combat. Like, I fucking love the mini-bosses in this game. Okay, I love some of the mini-bosses in this game. I generally think that Chronos' mini-bosses are fantastic, or at least a few of them are fantastic. The ninja is just one of the normal enemies, but just slightly a little bit more tough, and actually having a lot more, you know, attacks than the other ones. Plus, it's got some pretty decent defense. While it's easy to take down, it's definitely a good first mini-boss for you to fight. Then you've got the tower, which is literally just running for your life. Only for you to attack it or climb up it. And then attack it and climb up it, then attack it and climb up it, then attack it and climb up it. It's literally a goddamn repetitive cycle that no one really likes. But then you've got the squid, where you basically have to chase the damn thing in order to get close to it, and you still got some combat stuff to do. You gotta parry its attack once you finally get onto its little platform, and honestly, it's actually pretty cool. Like, I think it's a pretty decent mini-boss. Pretty slick, pretty sly, pretty fantastic. And then you've got the pointy bitch with the thick thighs herself, Asura. She's big and thick, and she's got a pretty good and honestly fun way of trying to get up her thick childbearing hips. Basically, you have to go up these cool little gravity well things, then you just gotta smack the shit out of her with good old-fashioned violence. It's pretty good. I actually think Ares' mini-bosses are also pretty damn good. I love the Strider. You basically have to do a bunch of grind rail sections and then you can beat the shit out of it. I think the big old-fashioned thick boy, aka the Sumo, is actually a lot better when it comes to combat, as when you pull off a Cycloop on him, you can, you know, basically expose him for his inflation addiction, and then you can smack him against the walls to completely and utterly destroy him. It's really fucking fun. The Shark is basically an overblown QuickTime event that isn't really that fun at all and can honestly be completed like super fucking easily just by doing the right timings. Honestly, this takes way too damn long and isn't really that fun for me. Unless you want to see him, you know, hit the deck and flop like a fish. Like SpongeBob SquarePants. And of course, last but sure as shiza not least, you've got the tank. This big, thick boy that throws you into the air. This one was actually the most difficult for me to take down in my live stream, but after a little bit of practice, I pretty much just realized you gotta stay the fuck away from it until he stops spinning, then you homing attack the shit out of him, so you can knock him to the ground. Again, they're pretty decent challenges, but again, they're okay. They're okay. And then we get to Chaos Island, which, yeah, I'll admit it kinda just has the same mini bosses as before. It's got its own tower, which is, you know, tries to call itself something new. The Excavator. Yeah, the Excavator, like it's something big and new, but it really isn't. And yeah, I'll admit it's okay. It's okay. It's a more upgraded version of the tower. It requires a little bit more shit to do. And I'll admit it's definitely, like, it's pretty damn good. Like, it is pretty damn good. And don't even get me started on the fantastic and phenomenal Spider. Or, I think, wait, is it called the Spider? Give me a minute. Yep, that's the Spider. That long-legged motherfucker is a Spider. Alright? I actually think this is also pretty fun. It knocks you into the air and you have to use its own attacks against it. then you gotta spam the absolute shit out of it because it barely takes any damage no matter how hard you hit it and no matter how much you've upgraded. The Shinobi is pretty much just an upgraded ninja with some extra attacks, which I think is pretty cool, although it looks the same for some damn reason. Then we get to the Fortress, which I'm just gonna straight up say, that thing looks cool. It's another Grind Rails thing, but honestly I think it does the best out of the whole Grind Rails, I guess, the trilogy, duology, whatever. It does the best out of the whole Grind Rails since you're actually moving forward and you're not going into a goddamn circle. And it kind of creeps me out when I get close to its face because I have trypophobia. Yeah, the fear of holes. And no, I'm not going to put a goddamn picture on the screen. I'm not terrifying myself just to make a quick joke. Yeah, I did it anyway. Anyway, with that being said, this is where we end up getting to, well, the other mini-bosses Chaos has, as it literally just brings back the squid, and yeah, it brings back the squid. In fact, now that I think about it, as I already said, the excavator is literally just the goddamn tower again. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of mini-bosses. Why y'all looking at me like that? What, I ain't forgetting nothing? Oh, shit! Oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I am a goddamn idiot. Yeah, I keep forgetting. There are 2 other islands in this game. Rhea Island is there. I'm just kidding. I actually like Rhea Island. I think Rhea Island is basically a really good story-based island for the most part. I mean, the way it's built is really good, and as much as I wish there were some enemies and mini-bosses thrown in here to, you know, get you some more extra experience, I do like the whole idea about all the platforming challenges in this being the main focus here. You are platforming to the top of these big-ass towers, and you're just trying your best to make sure you make it to the top, damn it! And I like it. Not only do I like the actual sense of progression, but I love the music blaring in the background, and I love how this actually makes you feel like you're taking the platforming you've learned and really putting it to the test. It's kind of what I want a Chaos Island to be. Just more difficult 3D platforming with 2D sections that could work, but were still just as difficult. And honestly, Rhea Island does an amazing job at giving you some solid, badass Sonic the Hedgehog 3D platforming. It feels like a bit of a send-off to this type of platforming, as Sega might just go ahead and do something entirely new for the next open-world Sonic game. So, if this is the send-off, I think they did a pretty good job at it. And yeah, I do kind of like how the actual open world or zone itself is built. I like the pretty trees, the small forest you can go to, the little canyon you have to go inside of. I like how you have to take down one of the smaller little, I guess, grape enemies in order to completely continue. Like, I like a lot of the little details and stuff added here. It's clear that these zones had some actual effort put into their look and their design and how you get through them, and it works so damn well. Like, I genuinely find it fantastic. Then we get to Orinus Island, or Aranus, or Aranos, whatever the fuck it's called, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I think this one kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit. Like, I genuinely think it overstayed its welcome a lot, in my opinion. And I think it can easily be seen in the fact that not only did I basically skip this island by playing Big's fishing minigame, which is pretty fun. It's simple, but it's fun, for the most part. And the reason I'm mad about that is because I honestly think if Sega really wants to make a goddamn fishing game, they could just make a separate fishing game! Peace, Josh. Peace. Inner peace. Namaste. Kung Fu Panda. So yeah, but anyway, with that being said, while I did basically skip this island in my live stream, I do have a little bit to say. I think its build, while simple and tiny, is still pretty well done. Like, it's not awful. It ain't awful, it ain't the worst, but it's not the best, and it should have been for the final island of the game. And of course, its mini-bosses are also not really the best. The only ones actually being interesting and genuinely fun are surprisingly the Master Ninja, which actually isn't just the fucking ninja in, well, Shinobi again. It has original attacks, it has more, you know, speed thrown in there, and you actually gotta, you know, time some shit here and there. I actually will have to say that I think the Silver Hammer is basically the perfect, and I do mean the perfect, upgrade of the fortress and the tower. And I will straight up say that I do think the Caterpillar and Ghost are fun. Like, the Caterpillar is a thick boy, once again, that just fires out cool little balls at you. And as you get close to it, you gotta make sure that you can, you know, properly time your jumps on the third trifecta of the Grinder on the Rails trilogy. That's what we're calling this movie series. And I think the Ghost is just annoying. It's honestly just annoying. It's not that good, it's just annoying. Like, I genuinely find it annoying. But then you get to the Red Pillar and the fucking Kunoichi or the Kunoichi, or whatever the fuck it's called. And yeah, no, these are really just the Ninja and the Red Pillar again. I mean, the Silver Hammer and the fucking Master Ninja already take the place of these two. They're just there to be pointless. I don't like them. Alright, I don't like them, man. They're not fun, man. that voice is annoying as shit. I'm never using it again. But of course, yeah. When it comes down to it, the islands they're good. They have great mini bosses. They have decent ideas, and conceptually, there's just a lot going on here. And I know a lot of you are probably wondering why I kind of cut myself off and started talking about the mini-bosses instead of the main enemies. But that's really because the main enemies just aren't that interesting. They don't show up at all throughout the game, and when they do, it's very rare and in very annoying instances. I don't really have much to say about the normal enemies, because they aren't really that much of a presence here. In an open world, you expect there to be plenty of enemies here and there, but there just really isn't. You've either got map shit to do, you've either got, you know, the cyberspace levels, and then you got the mini-bosses. The actual regular-ass enemies that you're supposed to be fighting throughout the entire game very rarely show up, and I barely have anything to say about them because they're just not that interesting or that fun. I mean, at least Chaos Island tried to make their enemies fun by giving you a little bird you could fly on, but besides that, there really isn't much to talk about in terms of the main enemies. They're just kind of there. And they just kind of suck. But now it's time to talk about the best part of this game. The part of the game I'm sure you've all been waiting for. The phenomenal, fantastic, and badass supersonic boss battles. Holy shit, I fucking love these. Giganto is a perfect first boss. Not only does it require you to take the combat system that you've learned before, but it gives you free reign to control Supersonic in ways you've only dreamed of. You can do Cycloops and fly around him, you can punch the shit out of him, you can parry and dodge his hits. It's very simple. It's a simple first boss, but it's a good first boss. It's a first boss that lets you know this is how the game is supposed to be. I love Giganto. I fucking think Giganto is fantastic. I think Giganto should marry me and slap his Giganto cock on my face. That is how much I love Giganto. He is an amazing first boss, and I genuinely find everything about him fantastic. And going back to fight him with all of the goddamn, going back to fight him with all of the fucking, upgrades just makes it even more fun because it shows just how much powerful you've gotten throughout every single part of this game. It really shows your progress, how you could just go back to the first boss of the game and just smack the diddly dick off of him. The Wyvern is, it's okay, it's there. I don't hate the Wyvern, but I'm not too much of a fan of it. For one, it's way easier than Giganto. All you really have to do is follow the rings when you're chasing it and you'll never get hit whatsoever. Then you just parry one of its hits and boom, you can throw it into the side of a fucking mountain, which is really awesome. Like, I love throwing it into a mountain, but the quick time events are just as simple as Giganto's, and honestly, I didn't really feel like I was gonna lose when I fought this thing. Now, yes, I did technically lose the first time I played it on my live stream, but, and this is a very big but, it's really fucking easy once you get after you learn it the first 2 times. Yeah, it's really just about paying attention, which is something I'm terrible at because of my ADHD autistic brain, but, you know, it's a good boss for the most part. Honestly, it just feels like a second first boss when it comes down to it. It doesn't really take any elements from the first Giganto battle besides the basic combat system and have you smack the absolute shit out of the Wyvern. And honestly, that's kind of it. I mean, sure, it's got way more adrenaline and makes you feel like actual speed is happening because you're flying around and catching up to this big old bitch, but besides that, it's a little disappointing. I mean, it's good. I'm waiting on it to be great. Then we get to the Knight. Holy shit, I love the Knight. It pretty much takes everything Giganto had and upgrades it. You gotta dodge the sword swings, you gotta parry the shield, you gotta ride the shield, you gotta throw the shield, you gotta lick the shield, you gotta wash the shield, you gotta date the shield, you must be the shield. Ah, damn, I fucking love the Knight. It honestly makes you think before you attack. It has you genuinely plan out your movements in a very fun and interesting way, and I'm just fucking ecstatic every time I hear Breakthrough at all. It's... Oh, wait, no, sorry. I mean, Find Your Flame! I love that song so damn much. It's so good. It's so damn good. I genuinely love every single second of going up against the Knight because it feels like a true second boss of the game. It feels so good. It feels so fun. Feels so fresh. Feels so exhilarating. I can't help myself. It's just so good. I really just can't help myself I get so giddy and ecstatic every time I fight the Knight because, well, I know I could potentially, even though I can learn this damn thing's pattern as much as possible, it's like playing a Cuphead boss. No matter how much of the pattern you learn, there's still a chance you're gonna die. But unlike Cuphead, it's way, way fucking easier. Which, speaking of which, I need to get back to live streaming that game. And then we get to the Supreme. Honestly, the Supreme is kind of a disappointment to me. It's honestly just an easier version of the Knight. Like, it very rarely uses his big-ass sniper rifle. You don't actually have to worry about those little robot fucking turret ball things that it fires out at you. And also, you can just run up, smack it, parry a few of its things, and dodge some of its lasers, and that's literally it. It's just repetitive and kind of boring after a while. I generally didn't think Supreme was that good because it honestly should have been the hardest boss in the game, but with the combat that I had already unlocked and the fact that I was full, like, 100% filled on the skill tree, I honestly feel like it kind of fell down a little bit too easy. I feel like this boss should have put me to the test way more than the Knight did, but it honestly didn't. And when I did get knocked back, I just felt like I was about to do another QuickTime event that was going to get me right back off the edge. It was kind of disappointing. And, of course, the biggest disappointment in this game is the final fucking boss of the game. I played hard mode to play up against possibly one of the coolest looking and most interesting and possibly one of the most fun supersonic bosses of all time. And what did I get? Disappointment. Fucking disappointment. I fought something that wasn't even a boulder. It was a rock. And it was all in a fucking Space Invaders minigame? Really? That is the most disappointing fucking thing about this entire game. And I'm actually kind of happy that my stream cut out before I beat this thing, because I fucking... Like, you guys don't need to see me celebrating the end. It's not a good boss. And story-wise, I can explain why it doesn't work as a villain. But seriously, the end fucking sucks as a boss. In every way, shape, and form. It's disappointing. And I honestly wish it should have been so much better. It doesn't use any combat. It doesn't use any of the other Titans. It doesn't even make you feel that good to fight. The end is just a boring and otherwise very bland ending to a game that has some of the best boss battles in Sonic the Hedgehog history. And that sucks. It really, really fucking sucks. But, overall, minus the disappointing ending, and minus the fact that, you know, a lot of the gameplay definitely has its problems, I still had a lot of fun playing Sonic Frontiers, and I think the gameplay works really well. I genuinely think that the gameplay has a lot of potential to be better, and I think in these updates it can get better. But if there is something that I will definitely say should and most likely needs to be fixed, it's the fucking final boss. But besides that, we're not going to be talking about that boulder that definitely isn't a rock. We should probably just go ahead and move on. Overall, I give the gameplay 6 out of 10. Maybe a slight 7. 6.5 out of 10 in terms of gameplay. It's got a lot of things that make it fun, but a lot of things that make it disappointing.